What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Team Action Secret Headquarters, the very first episode.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ben, and we're in the Team Action Secret Headquarters in a very secret, undisclosed location that only 3 people know about.
I'm one of them.
I'm one of them, and Nick Cage is the third. So we're here to talk to you guys about some special content that we have teased a little bit. Some of you guys may know, Andrew and I are going to be doing extra content every single week now. We're going to be doing an extra video and placing it on a Patreon account.
Yeah, and this week on AMA we're covering The Winter Soldier, so we thought what better than to talk about who were the best cast people in the Marvel Universe. We went back recently and I've watched maybe 8 Marvel movies in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and I've been reviewing the MCU movies in a series I'm doing on my YouTube channel called MCU Revisited, so I'm about halfway through, and you guys already know who my favorite casting choice is. You heard that on Action Movie Anatomy, but if you're wondering collectively what we think the 10 best are in the history of the 17 movies in the MCU, we are here to break it down for you one at a time. So I'd say without further ado, let's jump straight into it.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing about these movies that makes them so good is the casting.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't really imagine Iron Man now without imagining Robert Downey Jr. You can't really imagine Chris Hemsworth without imagining Thor. It's hard to separate them anymore.
Yeah, it's weird how it's changed with Batman and with the Hulk and all that. I feel like these 10 that we have are pretty engraved in our brains.
Well, yeah, not to mention also we're looking at a future, well, after Infinity War, where I think there's going to be a bunch of characters that die. I think everybody knows this.
Yeah, so to start off at number 10, this is going to kind of come out of left field, but for us, it's Cate Blanchett in Thor Ragnarok.
She was the actual best part of this entire movie.
And there was a lot of really good things about this movie. It was funny, it was really entertaining, the action was great, and then watching Banner and Hemsworth go back and forth was excellent, but what really shined
was Hela. Yeah, she was unbelievable. I mean, the action sequences were so cool. I think for me, a big part of the reason I like Cate Blanchett so much was that when I went back to watch the first 2 Thor movies, they're not very good in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't like the Thor movies, and I found more and more and more that they were lacking awesome battle sequences from awesome characters. And she's the best part of this movie and has the most awesome battle sequence.
Yeah, who would have thought that what Thor needed was 2 badass women to revitalize the series with Tessa Thompson, who is one of our honorable mentions that did not make the list.
Which we will get to. Before we hit our top 3, we'll give you guys a few of our favorite honorable mentions. But yeah, spoiler alert, we love Tessa Thompson, and she didn't, unfortunately, make the top 10. But Blanchett, I think it's kind of a reach for us. I think a lot of people wouldn't agree with us on this one because she's only been in the 1 movie and she dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I don't think a lot of people would have him on her, or have her on their list, period, but she's on ours. She's number 10.
Yeah, I think putting a 2-time Oscar winner in a movie is usually a pretty good idea. So, number 9, upcoming. We have only a half a movie of evidence on this guy so far, but we have a full movie coming out.
Yes.
Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther.
Yes, I've fought tooth and nail for this. Now, the person we had to kick off was Tom Holland, which was really tough, because he is an excellent, excellent Spider-Man. But there's just something about Boseman.
Yeah, he's just got it. Whatever it is, he's got it. It's like...
Yeah, I don't want to say swag. I don't want to say any... There's no word for it. It's whatever Black Panther needs to be amazing, he has it.
Yeah, he's like... Again, I think a big criteria for us with this list was thinking about who could have played the role. Who could have convincingly played it? How hard of a role was it to play? You know, at this point, like, there are certain people, like we mentioned, where you just can't really imagine anyone else doing it. And with this one, I do feel like he brings a special characteristic to this character, even the accent, which is obviously from a fake place.
And he's just, there's something so elegant about him. So, I mean, he feels like a king when you watch him operate in the movie. So, and also that battle scene on the highway
so cool.
is incredible.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
So, moving on to number 8, we've got someone who Ben and I actually know, not well, but we've met him a couple times.
We've met him a couple times, yep.
It's Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky.
The Winter Soldier. Yeah. Now, this one's interesting because there's a strong argument that Sebastian Stan is the best villain in the MCU.
I truly believe that.
And he's a total badass, but more than that, they had to cast him for 2 distinctly different roles. Mm-hmm. And when you watch the first Captain America movie, he's great, but you don't really imagine that he would end up being this incredibly intimidating, awesome villain. He's also kind of a smaller dude in person.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I love so much about the Marvel Universe and comic book films in general, is that they can just kind of throw a character in a movie, and if you're not caught up to date on all the reading material, which I'm not, you don't even know that Bucky becomes the Winter Soldier. You don't know all these things that get unwrapped. I mean, I just watched Daredevil, and finding out who the villain is in that at the end, It's Billy Caruso, who's been his friend the whole time. It's just spoiler alert. But my point is...
Daredevil, which one? The show?
Yeah.
Oh.
On, not Daredevil, The Punisher.
Oh, there you go.
So my point, though, is that watching him in the first movie, you're just like, oh, that's his good buddy. You have no idea he's going to come back.
Right.
Seems like such a nice guy, and then you think he dies.
Yeah. I definitely think that Sebastian Stan, and using that storyline, the Winter Soldier storyline, which we talked about on AMA today, but to just revisit it, I remember when these comic books came out. I remember when Ed Brubaker, he's a writer from Seattle, he wrote this storyline. It was so cool, this idea that Bucky had been gone for so long, and he was back, and they just, in the movie, God, they execute it well.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I think is so impressive about him is, and this is no knock on Mr. Stan, is that he's not that big of a guy.
Yeah.
He's smaller than both of us. He's actually got a tinier frame as well. But he looks massive, and he looks like such a badass in that movie. And his looks, he's just so angry.
When he catches the shield.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. I just thought he was just the coolest. I don't know. I just loved him. And when he first walks into the street and blows up Fury's car.
Oh yeah.
It says
the music kind of stops. Yeah.
It's all Winter Soldier stuff. But obviously he's really, really good in Civil War. It's like a great redemption story. Mm-hmm. And with the Cap and Iron Man fight.
That's one of my favorite movies in the whole, or moments in the whole Marvel universe, is that fight between the three of them.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So Sebastian Stan comes in, number 8. Number 7, we're gonna have a fan favorite here, and this one's debatable as far as who could have done it, but I do think that this is correct. And it's gonna be Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Like when the movie opens, the music comes on, and he's dancing around. He's like, I'm Star-Lord. It's like, oh, yeah. Not only do you feel good when you're watching it, but you're also like, Chris Pratt makes me feel like, this is my buddy. I want to hang out with him.
He's funny. I mean, it's one of those rare examples where they were like, we're going to take this guy from this show who's kind of out of shape, we're going to get him in shape, and then we're going to make him a superhero, and he's perfect for it, and we know he can pull it off, and they were just so dead right. Like, I can't think of very many guys that would have been able to do it. It's a unique skill that he had to be able to come in. And his humor and his wisecracking didn't feel forced. Like they were trying to make him basically Harrison Ford. They were basically trying to take classic Harrison Ford and his humor, but a little goofier, and it totally worked.
And that's something that you and I have talked about a lot on AMA, is this movie star charisma, this quality that we talked about, and Chris Pratt is just decorated. And I mean, this guy just wears it better than almost anybody. And I think that's why Star-Lord is so good. I don't know if someone else could have done it. It's not like I just see him and I'm like, oh my God, it's perfect.
People also don't remember that in 2014, his only real claim to fame in movies was he was in Her that year as a small character. He was in Moneyball a couple years earlier. But he was not like a guy yet that you were like, oh yeah, who's going to get the lead role in that thing? It's Chris Pratt. Like now he's, the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was just basically a pretty renowned television actor because the show was so popular.
People just loved him on Parks and Rec.
Now you come to the other side of that for our next character, who's been kind of a superstar for a long time. And this role has really changed everything for her. This is Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow.
Yeah. She's she's one of the core Avengers. Scarlett Johansson, I remember first watching in this movie called Ghost World. Do you remember Ghost World?
Oh, I remember Ghost World.
Steve Buscemi and Thora Birch.
Not well.
From like 2001, I'll bet. Like a very long time ago. And she's like she's like a dopey, pale teenager who you're like, who is this? And she shows up in some movies for in the early 2000s, and this is 2008. Well, no, it's 2010 when she first shows up as Black Widow. And she was a star. I mean, she was definitely
a star.
A star. I have a memory in the first or second season of Entourage. He asks E to go get Scarlett Johansson's number, and that has to be like 2004.
Yeah, so I remember her in The Island is when I first fell in love with her.
She's smoking in The Island.
Yeah, but what it is about Scarlett, I think, in this series or in this universe, is that she does such a great job of just playing a role. She doesn't ever steal from the scenes, but she's always a badass. She's a human hanging with superheroes.
Right.
With gods among men.
Yeah, it's funny, the physicality of these roles is so important. We take it for granted because it's like in Hollywood, okay, you get cast as a superhero, get a trainer, like you'll learn all the moves, like anyone can do it, but that's not really true. You have to be able to sell, not just do the physicality, but also sell the physicality. It has to be believable that you, when you're walking and standing, would be able to pull off these moves, and she is really a badass.
That is such an interesting point you make about selling it, because I remember Rebecca Ferguson in MI5 was one of those where you're like, that girl would kill me.
Yeah,
she would destroy me.
Totally. And when you saw her in the trailer, you were like, I don't know about this. I don't know who this Rebecca Ferguson woman is.
Yeah.
And she shows up in the movie, and you're just blown away. And I think in a lot of ways, ScarJo, she does like capture that. And my goodness, she has to be this like sexy super spy. That's like part of her charm, and she's so good at that.
Without sexualizing her, which I think is so cool. Like I love how in almost all of the Winter Soldier, there's just like that tension, but there's nothing that goes on.
Nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
And I love when they're on the escalator and she's like, kiss me. He's like, what? She's like, public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable. Kiss me.
Yeah.
And it's like, and she's just like by the numbers.
Yeah, and then she kisses me. She's like, "You're still uncomfortable." He's like, "That's not what I'd call it."
Yeah.
You know. So moving on to the next one on the list. This is one that you feel much more strongly about than I do.
Okay.
I think he does a great job.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we're gonna talk Tom Hiddleston as Loki. So, all right, let's be honest, guys. If you're not gonna say it's Sebastian Stan, you're probably gonna argue, maybe you'll argue Thanos, but I think a lot of people would argue that Tom Hiddleston as Loki is the definitive Marvel villain. How hard is it to pull off like this like God of Asgard thing? Well, it's really hard. I don't think that's easy. People take that for granted. If you watch those movies, most of the characters are the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Ultron is the greatest villain in Marvel.
You love James Spader. I just don't like most of the Thor characters. So I definitely found when I was watching him and like going and doing my rewatch, I was just like, man, he's a really effective, convincing villain. You believe that he's kind of evil, but he also has a heart. He's good at he does the comedy really well in Ragnarok. He's just a great villain.
So I was not sold on this immediately.
Yeah.
But luckily I did go back and watch the Avengers movies this week. I watched Civil War and the Avengers. I actually think I watched them both yesterday.
Yeah.
He totally redeems himself in the Avengers.
Right.
He's such a good villain in it. Totally. He is evil. He does toe the line of mischievous and evil and fun all throughout. And so I do have to say he did win me over. The Thor movies, it doesn't do a lot for me with Tom Hiddleston as Loki, but in the Avengers he's fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's a much harder role to pull off than we think. And again, you talk about being able to do this. I know people might be like, oh, just put Michael Fassbender. It's like you're talking about a very select list of like these incredibly intense, talented, kind of Shakespearean actors is what they feel like. There's not that many of them that would work in an Avengers movie.
And these people weren't oversaturated at the time that these movies all started. Whereas Michael Fassbender now is way too big to just be picking up this character, I think.
Also, I think I've seen Hiddleston in some other things, and it's interesting to see him do a completely different role.
Yeah, I liked him in Kong.
Yeah, he works to make this role work, and he is very good as Loki, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so is his brother, who we have next at number 4, which is Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Now, it might be the beautiful blonde hair, or the eyes, or the facial hair, or every chiseled feature on this guy's butt. Well, no, wait, that's it.
Yeah.
That's why he's the perfect Thor.
Again, and it took watching a couple other movies for me to be convinced, but once I watched Rush, which I love.
Yeah, Rush is great.
Richard Eric Jarvie, if you're watching this, once again, I thank you for making me watch Rush. I love him in Rush. It made me appreciate him as Thor so much more. He's very, very good as Thor.
He's just a very good Thor, and he's a beautiful man. I was watching him at the Golden Globes, and I was like, God, he's a very handsome man. And if you're going to be a god, like a blonde god, son of Odin, you've got to look like that.
Yeah, and it's not the same thing as Sebastian Stan. He is like 6'4", 6'6".
He's massive.
Jacked out of his mind, just like enormous arms, tiny waist. Like these guys, they're cast for a reason. So
so that brings us to our top 3.
Which I think we're going to throw in a couple honorable mentions first.
Yeah.
Some of our favorites. I'm going to throw one out. Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau.
Yes.
Love Happy.
I got to do, I can't remember his name in Ragnarok, but Jeff Goldblum is so good.
Is it the Collector, or is that Benicio?
That's Benicio.
Okay, I don't know. But yeah, when he plays the keyboard in Ragnarok.
Tessa Thompson, also in Ragnarok, she's fantastic.
Valkyrie, she's really wonderful. And then I love Ben Kingsley in Iron Man 3.
He's so good as the Mandarin.
Yeah, when he nods off drinking the beer, that's a pretty excellent scene.
Nick Fury. Yeah, he didn't make our list. It's tough because you think a lot of people can do it, but Sam Jackson actually delivers this incredibly with subtlety. Yeah,
he's very subtle, and this one was difficult, right? Like you look at the Avengers movies and all of these movies, and he's the most consistent character through all the movies.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say he's not perfectly cast, because I would say at this point in Sam Jackson's career, I think this is probably his most famous role. He's played it for a long enough time in the biggest movies, and I don't think it's not Mace Windu, and I don't think it's like Jules from
Shaft.
From Pulp Fiction. I mean, he's in a lot of movies. He's very famous, but I just have to think that Nick
That's
Fury...
interesting. Maybe we should do that one day. We should have a career-defining role discussion on Sam Jackson.
Yeah, I think it has to be Nick Fury, but I could be wrong. But the point is, as great as he is, I think you could have cast 30 people when they made the decision to make these movies. There's just, I think any like...
Powers Booth.
I just think any kind of like strong leading man-esque male role you could have put in this role and put the sunglasses or put the eye patch on, and he would have been able to pull it off. Now,
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned earlier that Fury doesn't do any of the like motherfucker stuff.
That's not in there, and that's what I love about it is that it's a different side of Sam Jackson. I think, even though he still is kind of like this badass, he's like a very calm, collected one.
He's more like Sam Jackson in Sphere.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to our top three. I think most people can probably guess what 1 and 2 are. They might not know what their order is.
Especially if you watched AMA, then you probably already know our 1 and 2.
Right.
But I think our 3 might throw you for a loop.
Yes.
Good lord, are there a lot of good choices. And honestly, guys, we could have made this a top 20 list. There are so many good options. But it's Drax.
It's
Dave
Batista. He's the best.
He's my favorite.
His delivery and the conviction in his saying of his lines is fantastic.
Yeah, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast.
He's got a heart of gold, and honestly, to talk about everything else, and not that any of these people that we've talked about on the list aren't great people, but we've just heard incredible things about Batista on set from our friends. That he's the nicest guy.
And he's the guy who, like, when what was it Manny Pacquiao? One of the fighters said the thing about like they were against gay people, and he was like, "I had 2 moms, so you can shove it up his ass" or something like that. I saw that clip once, and I was just like, "Man, I love this dude."
Just
like,
fighting for the little people all the time, and he's the nicest guy. And honestly, as Drax, not only is he incredibly physically intimidating, he's hilarious.
He's got that laugh, and he just like really sells it. I don't know. I mean, he was supposed to be Jason Momoa originally. He was the original guy cast as Drax.
Thank God.
And he stepped out of it to go do Aquaman, which like I like Jason Momoa a lot. I actually think he's one of the best parts of Justice League, and I even think that his movie might be good. But like, there's just something great about Batista in this role. It's just, I don't know.
It's one of those things where, I mean, that's why he's number 3 on our list, and for all 3 of them, he's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, God, but how do you not want to throw, Bradley Cooper on there as Rocket? Like, if there's just Gamora, that whole cast is so good. I love that whole cast.
Yeah, for me, he shines. Even above Pratt, obviously, he's above him on the list.
Yeah.
So the number 1 and 2 is very interesting, because up until this morning, I had fought hard for my number 1,
which is the common number 1.
Yeah.
But we're going to go number 2. Mr. Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
Iron Man himself, my favorite comic book character growing up. I have every Iron Man comic up till 2005 in my mom's basement. I was obsessed. It was supposed to be Tom Cruise who played this role originally.
Honestly, this is one of those times where I actually think it's so much better it turned out to be RDJ than Tom.
Yeah, when RDJ got this, so just for frame of reference for people that don't remember, he had basically been out in the cold for about 10 years. And he was on his upswing. He was coming back. So Zodiac was the year before.
Right.
That's a well-known role that he was in. It's a very good movie.
Ruffalo in that too?
Yeah. Some people consider that to be one of the modern masterpieces, or the underrated films of all time. You had, like, he was in a few movies, Gothica. He was in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang a couple years earlier. So he was kind of on the upswing, but he was by no means
the movie star that he used to be. No,
he was one of those guys with limitless potential that never really fulfilled it. So 2009 he gets Sherlock Holmes. 2008 he gets Iron Man, and he just, the first 10 minutes of Iron Man is flawless. It's like he's just so good.
Like, I don't even know, I haven't read all the Iron Man comics, I haven't read any of the Iron Man comics, but I just watch it and I'm like, that guy is Tony Stark. He's perfect. He just, I don't know what it is. It almost like in some ways ruined RDJ's career in some ways.
Yeah,
because he's done that crazy thing. He's pigeonholed himself into just being
Tony Stark. He kind of, like, I saw the movie The Judge. I think you watched it recently too.
Yeah.
And he's great in it, but it's like kind of like Tony Stark, the lawyer version. Like, it's hard to not watch him now and just be like, this is a gimmick you do, which is ultimately, I think, why over time it didn't age as well as our number 1, because I got a little tired. As the movies went on and more, I found myself less amused by the Tony Stark bit, and it just felt like more and more like, man,
kind of a dick.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't like you as a character as much as I used to. And
yeah, I mean, I still love him, and like going back and watching Iron Man 3 last night after all this time has passed, he's still fantastic, and like him and Pepper are great, but it is a gimmick a little bit, and and like you do kind of get, it's just like everything is a quip, and like, I mean, even Captain America says it to him, he's like, is everything a joke to you? And it's like, everything is kind of a joke to him, and it's kind of harder to latch onto maybe. I mean, not that he's not good, he's our number 2, we think he's fantastic, but honestly,
the number 1, it's gotta be none other than Mr. Chris Evans.
It's Captain America, man.
And who would have thought when they first cast these and you first watched that first movie, the Joe Johnston Captain America,
Flame on!
I I like him in the first Avenger. I think he's very good.
Yeah.
He just gets better as the movies go on.
He truly does. And going back and rewatching, because I think what I did was I watched Winter Soldier, and then I watched Civil War, and then I went back and watched the first Avenger. He's so great. His character arc, and just like when he jumps on the grenade, there's so many moments in there where you just love him for being nothing other than just genuine and a good person.
Because I think it's deceptive with him. You would imagine this like all-American square-jawed Captain America, that'd be an easy thing to pull off.
Yeah.
But it's really not. Like you think about how wrong that could have gone, how unlikable and obnoxious he could have been. Like imagine Matthew Fox in Lost. That's like that kind of character who after a while you just get tired of. And like I'm not tired of Chris Evans as Captain America, man.
No, everything that he does, no matter what the problem is. I mean, even in Civil War, when you're kind of like, because I've always been Iron Man, Team Iron Man.
Right.
Even then, you're kind of annoyed by him, but you're like, I get it. Right. I get it, man. You're just doing what you know is best. That's what he's doing. He's always doing what he knows is best. He's got the perfect look for it. And honestly, I think the most impressive thing is when he pulls off the meek Steve Tyler.
Yeah. Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers, yeah. The meek one of him when he's like back in training camp and all that.
Yeah. I think probably my favorite Captain America Steve Rogers stuff is like, it was the decision that Anthony and Joe Russo made in Winter Soldier to really try to, and they showed a lot in that first scene on the boat, they really try to make us aware of
his superhuman abilities.
Yeah. It's so cool because like, his pursuit of Bucky in Winter Soldier when he's just running through doors.
Yeah.
That's some of my favorite stuff. They just do a great job of really illustrating this guy isn't just like a super durable, super strong human. He is an actual superhuman. When he falls on his shield out the window of the elevator.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And then like when he jumps and like curls behind it when the bomb goes off, and I think in Civil War.
Yeah.
There's just so much cool stuff, and the way that they make him running, it looks like he's just like running 10 times faster than everything else, cutting across the walls. When he kicks people.
Yeah, and they just fly across the room. Yeah, it's incredible. Like they just do a very good job of that, and he just sells it, man. He looks the part, like
and
everything about it.
You love Captain America.
You believe he really believes he's fighting for what's right. So he's my favorite. I think he's the best cast Avenger.
You won me over. You really did, because I was fighting really hard for RDJ, but I guess Evans actually won me over.
Yeah. So if you didn't catch it, go check out Action Movie Anatomy. We covered The Winter Soldier this week, so you can go do a whole discussion on that movie. That's going to wrap us up for this very first video. This is available to everyone. This is not going to be exclusively on Patreon. We want to kind of give you guys a preview of the type of stuff we're going to be doing. So coming to you from an undisclosed location in our secret headquarters, we'll be doing this every single week. And the more pledges, the more people that want to support the Patreon and get on board,
the more we can do.
More videos we're going to do, and all kinds of different stuff. So go check out the Patreon. There's tiers on there. You can sort of see, you can be a part of the decision-making process. There's some really fun rewards for you guys. And otherwise, we're just going to be doing it every week. So
yeah, give us feedback. Let us know what you thought about the first video. Let us know things we could improve. Let us know your thoughts. What's your what's your top 10? What's your number 1?
Yep.
This is why we do it.
Absolutely. So guys, thank you so much for supporting. Thanks for watching. If you want to follow along personally, you can find me at Ben Bateman Media.
And you guys can find me at Andrew Guy.
Talk to you guys next time.
Bye. Oh, say bye to Nick.
Bye, Nick.
Bye, Nick.